United Nations Secretary General António Guterres will deliver the annual Nelson Mandela Annual Lecture this afternoon. The annual lecture coincides with the National Nelson Mandela Day, which is observed every year on the 18th of July. Now, Parliament yesterday held their version, a virtual Nelson Mandela lecture, which was delivered by Wits University scholar, Professor Ran Greenstein. For more on this, we're joined now by the National Assembly Deputy Speaker, Lechesa Tsenoli, who presided over that lecture. Deputy Speaker, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Each one, teach one, the power to transform the world. Mandela in conversation with Palestine. Many would believe that it's quite a pertinent time to be having this conversation as we watch news coming out of Israel with moves afoot to move ahead with those plans to annex parts of the occupied West Bank and Jordan Valley. What did you take from that lecture yesterday?
Thank you very much, and thank you, and good morning to your viewers. You've cut us by half. In addition to Professor Ron Greenstein, there was also Naeem Jinnah, and I co-chaired the function with the Deputy Chairperson in the National Council of Provinces, Honorable Sylvia Lucas. I felt it was like a political social audit of our undertakings. And the two speakers were reminding us those undertakings that are absolutely critical, of solidarity with the Palestinian people, but most critically, it reminded us of the reasons, not only Madiba, he wasn't acting alone, that the entire movement that demanded freedom for the people of Palestine was critical. Naeem Jinnah, for example, reminded of the speech that Miriam Makeba made at the United Nations, a speech that led her to be unable to come back to South Africa because apartheid South Africa then wouldn't have her back because of the things she said there, and her leading a campaign that led ultimately to apartheid being declared a crime against humanity. These undertakings were critical, but also the environment that was painted by the two scholars. They've been doing important work, not only in working with the Palestinians, but also in looking at our own commitments globally in international forums. And it is in those forums that we made those undertakings, and therefore we need to be able to follow them through and see how we can implement them as they were originally intended.
Now, the people of Palestine have always felt a very close connection to the peoples who were oppressed here in South Africa. There was even a statue, I think I remember, being unveiled in Palestine as well of our former president, Nelson Mandela. There's always been a kinship of sorts. And now for years, Israel has been labeled an apartheid state, and I'm told that that word is being used more and more as news develops over in that part of the world. Do you think that's a fair assessment?
Absolutely. It was Mayor Pakstow who led Joburg then, who went to Palestine to do as a donation from the people of Johannesburg and South Africa to put up that statue. It is absolutely, I have myself in the received people who worked with children who were brought to South Africa for treatment because of what happened to them in the detentions there and the illness which when they were unable to do them, very difficult conditions were placed in their hands to be able to move to get health treatment in South Africa and so on. And one of the biggest issues that I do want to raise in memory of Madiba was not just his love for children, but his practical invitation to all of us to do everything in our power to ensure that these children grow to be able to realize their dreams, wherever they are. And so the number of children who are these days arrested in Palestine, in Israel, is amazing that people can do such things. And so for us, it is really critical that we not only see that solidarity work as important to helping the little ones be able to really grow up as children and their childhood not to be stolen, but to be allowed to grow and become citizens of the world that appreciate good relationship across whatever boundaries that might be placed before them by anybody else.
Indeed, a wish we have for all children across the world, especially those living in areas deemed to be under threat. Thank you so much for your time this morning. The Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly there, Lechesa Tsenoli, joining us live there via Skype, just giving us his thoughts following the virtual Mandela lecture that was given to Parliament yesterday. Mandela in Conversation with Palestine was the theme there, and the Parliament heard there from Professor Rand Greenstein of its university, and of course also Naeem Jenner, Executive Director of the Afro-Middle East Center.